Hello, 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 my friends. So, a little while ago, a debut author named Gregory Michael reached out to me. He said, "Hey, Nick, I've watched a few of your interviews lately, and I like it." And I said, "Thanks. Flattery will get you everywhere." He says, "I'm a debut author. I've got a young adult, fast-paced sci-fi heist novel that I think you'd like." I said, "I like all those words. That sounds fun. Who doesn't like a heist story?" He offered me a copy to do a review, and I said, "I don't really do a lot of reviews. I don't know." He says, "Cool. What if you make a video and read the first chapter in the video, and then I'll pick 5 people that follow you online, and I'll give them a copy of the book." And I said, "That sounds wonderful. I'll do that. Why not, right?" So that's what we're going to do again. So the book is called Chloe's Kingdom. It's a fast-paced young adult sci-fi heist. I like this idea. I like a sci-fi heist. I don't think I've even read a sci-fi heist. That sounds fun. Let me show you the cover a little. Might edit it, put it in, but here's the cover on the ebook edition. Looking mighty fine. That's what I'll be reading. It takes place on a drifting city spaceship. That's pretty cool, right? Drifting city. I mean, is it damaged and drifting, or I don't know. A thrilling young adult science fiction heist novel set in the unforgiving void of outer space, perfect for fans of Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo and Artemis by Andy Weir. I do love Andy Weir. I haven't read Artemis though. Not sure about Artemis, but I do love Andy Weir. So, yeah, let's get into it. Let's read chapter 1 together. Let's see what we think. He said I can definitely give my opinions, so I'll give my opinions, We'll read chapter 1. And at the end, there's a giveaway. Cool, right? Who doesn't want a chance for a free book? Chloe's Kingdom, Gregory Michael, Chapter 1. Let's go. Got the copyright page. Bum, bum, bum. Looks like I got some scrolling through the table of contents. Looks like we got a couple different point of view characters here. That's cool. Okay. Little map. Chapter 1. Chloe. The heavy steel door groaned as Chloe entered the dimly lit tavern. Laughter and rowdy conversations enveloped her, mingling with the pungent aroma of stale beer. Surveying the room, her eyes caught a concealed package sliding across a table, and one booth over, a patron discreetly activated a hologram from his wrist. The room buzzed with a motley crowd, each person's trustworthiness extending as far as Chloe could throw them. Making her way to the bar, Chloe drew a mix of indifference and curious glances. The portly tavern owner, Marty, subtly nodded as she claimed a stool. Without a word, he slid her a cola pouch while wiping down the rusty counter. She tore off the tab, sipped the carbonated brew, its sweetness sharpening her focus. Chloe had navigated her fair share of heists, each one a step closer to her ultimate goal, returning to her lush apartment in the gardens. A mix of determination and adrenaline pulsed through her veins. Not only did she intend to steer her crew to victory, but she was driven by the allure of the life she once had. Success demanded seamless teamwork and unwavering communication. Once the plan was in motion, there would be no turning back. "You ready, kid?" Marty asked, resting his burly forearms on the counter. Chloe tied her wild chestnut brown hair into a ponytail and zipped up her gray jumpsuit. "As ready as I'll ever be," she said, hopping off the bar stool. Approaching the tavern's entrance, she raised her wrist to her mouth. "Is everyone in position?" Dutch, stationed in the loft a floor above, replied, "Good to go." "Give me a sec." Penny hurried past the bustling tavern and weaved through Mercado's narrow streets, steering clear of conversation with vendors and afternoon shoppers. She darted down an alley, disappearing from sight, and whispered, "I've got eyes on the bodega." "Go time." Chloe patted her thigh, and her pet raccoon, Mojito, popped his head out of a trash bin and scurried to her side. I do love a pet. I love the name Mojito. I love that it's a pet raccoon. Okay. When they neared the welder's hut, Chloe scrunched her nose, anticipating the sharp stench of burning iron. "Hey, Sid," she hollered, holding her breath with a smile. The chief welder grunted over his shoulder as he tossed bits of asteroids into a smelter. Well, that's fun. His hands were pale and scaly as if they'd been patched a dozen times with skin grafts. Putting aside Sid's charming personality, he was the go-to guy for all things metal, whether it was a simple table or paneling for a spaceship. 12 meters out, Chloe said into the slip on her wrist as she passed Millie's electronic shop. The void is cleared, Dutch radioed. No sign of Sheriff Gibbs or Luna. Chloe crouched down and gently scratched behind Mojito's silky furred ears. Just like we practiced, my little man. With a quick pat on his back, the raccoon scampered into a narrow alley and swiftly climbed an exposed oxygen pipe until his bushy ringtail vanished over the rooftop's edge. Wearing a worn pleated skirt, Penny shakily swept her crystal blonde hair behind her ears and crossed the alley as Chloe approached the bodega. The immaculate shop, with well-stocked shelves visible through large windows, stood out like a sore thumb among the other weathered stores in Mercado. Potato. Try not to look so nervous, Chloe whispered. But what if we get caught? Penny fretted. My mom would never let it go. Just stick to the plan and everything will be fine. Penny bit her bottom lip and nodded unconvincingly. As they stepped into the convenience store, a sensor chimed, and Kelvin Blackworth, the shopkeeper, yelled, "1 bee at a time!" With a roll of their eyes, the girls ignored him and split down the aisles. I'm serious, Kelvin shouted, his voice echoing through the store. He hastily shuffled around the counter and seized Penny by the wrist. Do I need to clean the beeswax out of your ears? I have a grocery list from my mom, Penny cried, trying to pull away. Where's Chloe hiding? Kelvin seethed, a greasy lock of red hair cascading over his spoiled milk complexion. I'm over here, Chloe announced, emerging from the back aisle. She undid her ponytail, letting her untamed hair flow past her shoulders. Out with both of you, Kelvin said, pointing to the exit. And where's that mangy trash pan of yours? Chloe took a step forward. Maybe if you read a book, you'd know raccoons are nocturnal. Yeah, you big dummy, Penny retorted, breaking free from his grasp. The hairs rose on Chloe's neck, noticing the red imprints on Penny's pale skin. She considered risking the heist just to punch Kelvin in the nose. He spun on his snowy suede loafers. Watch your tongue or I'll ban you and your mother from the store for a week. You'll have nothing but honeycomb slop to eat. You can't do that, Penny muttered. I can do whatever he started, but was interrupted by a holographic message projecting from the slip. I'm already late for a party in the gardens. Hurry up and give me your grocery list. Penny reached into her pocket and handed him a crumbled piece of paper. Who the hell can read this scribble? The shop clerk complained, glancing over his shoulder. Chloe remained still, seemingly absorbed with the video game on her slip. Focus. Hello? A little better? Anyway, let's keep reading. When Kelvin returned his focus to the list, Chloe cautiously reached for the shelf beside her and grabbed 2 chocolate peanut butter protein bars. At the same time, an air vent in the corner of the bodega cracked open until the grate hung by its hinges. Chloe's hands began to shake. You practiced this throw 100 times, she told herself with a breath, and underhand tossed the first protein bar toward the ceiling. As gravity pulled it to the floor, a lightning-fast paw shot out of the vent and snatched the bar. Chloe pumped her fist and beamed. She quickly lobbed the second protein bar, but winced as it left her fingertips. Let me read it for you, Penny said, with her voice raised, grabbing the paper from Kelvin. Mojito dangled from the vent, barely managing to catch the bar in his mouth. Penny cleared her throat. I need 2 apples, 1 liter of H2O, and a quarter of what? Kevin asked impatiently. Sorry, and a quarter pound of cashews, she said as the raccoon scrambled up the grate. Anything else? He said, peering over his shoulder again while Chloe continued to feign playing a video game. This isn't a hangout spot, Espinosa. Get out unless you're buying something. When Kelvin turned around, Chloe grabbed 2 more protein bars and tossed them to Mojito. The crew will have full bellies tonight if we keep up this pace. She reached for another bar, but the wrapper caught the shelf and crinkled in her nervous grip. Don't even think about it, Kelvin Blackworth snarled. Chloe waved her hand, making a show of putting the protein bar back onto the shelf, while Mojito gently pulled the grate shut. Not as many bars as she hoped, but Chloe would still count today as a win. She shuffled past the shopkeeper, casually flicked her wrist toward the register, and stood beside Penny. 6 coin, Kelvin said, shoving the grocery bag into Penny's hands. That's better. Okay. I guess I was blurry for a while, but, not a big deal while I'm reading, right? Let's read a bit more. Penny swiped across her slip, and Kelvin nodded after the payment flashed across the register. Now buzz off, he said, shooing them away. I have a party in the gardens to get to. When the girl stepped through the exit, Kelvin shouted, "Stop!" from the back of the bodega, throwing the empty protein bar box to the floor and chasing after them. The streets had grown busier as the afternoon wore on. Penny cut left, and Chloe dashed into the alley behind Millie's electronics shop, her heart pounding in her ears. "Get back here!" Kelvin Blackworth yelled. Chloe two-stepped off a wall, vaulting over a grimy dumpster. She skidded around a turn and yanked a dangling cord attached to a tall stack of crates. As Kelvin rounded the corner, the teetering tower of boxes gave way, forcing him to dive to the ground for safety. "Sorry, not sorry," Chloe smirked as she snuck into the black of Sid Welder's hut. A man wearing a large black mask turned around, holding a live torch. She pulled her undershirt over her nose and sidestepped past him, feeling sweat accumulate on her lower back. The welder shrugged and continued soldering two pieces of metal. A loud bang crashed into the back door, and Kelvin shouted, "Somebody stop her!" But none of the welders seemed to hear him. "Out of my way!" he huffed with tomato-red cheeks, pushing past the workers. He sprung forward, reaching for the back of Chloe's jumpsuit, but she managed to duck through the front entrance as Sid stepped inside with a tray of asteroid bits. Kelvin slammed full speed into him, sending them and the rocks crashing to the floor. "Ah, for Earth's sake," Sid yelled through a cloud of dust. "What the hell are you doing in my hut, Blackworth?" Knowing Sid, he would probably berate Kelvin until corset. Chloe weaved into a small crowd of shoppers and slowed her steps. As she moved along, a message from Dutch projected from her slip. 4:27 p.m. Hide! Exclamation point. Hide! Chloe contemplated running for Marty's Tavern, but decided to trust the crew's lookout. She kneeled, pretending to tie her sneakers, and rolled onto all fours under a canvas sheet draped over Dora's jumpsuit stand. Seconds later, snowy loafers covered in soot halted on the other side of the tablecloth. "Has anyone seen Chloe or her pale friend?" Kelvin asked as other feet passed by. "She's about this tall, brown skin, unbrushed hair, and usually has a filthy raccoon with her." Chloe took comfort, knowing a Blackworth had a better chance of winning the lotto than convincing someone to rat on her or Penny in Mercado. "I know you're around here somewhere," Kelvin yelled. The crashing tower of crates behind Millie's electronics shop was supposed to buy Chloe enough time to slip through Sid's welder hut. From there she had a clean shot to Marty's Tavern, where Blackworth wouldn't dare enter if they knew what was good for them. Chloe shook her head, hearing her late father's voice. "Always have a failsafe." His lecture referred to mechanical engineering, but she saw no difference in applying his methods to extracurricular activities. Fun little bit there. I like it. Well done, Gregory. Well done. I like calling it extracurriculars, too. Extracurricular activities of a theft. Petty theft, though. Do they really need the crew just to steal a couple protein bars? Maybe. We'll see. Chloe snickered and shook her head shamefully. What would Dad think of me now? Come out, wherever you are," Kelvin said as he searched the alleyways. What Blackworth lacked in smarts, they made up in ruthless determination. Her knees and palms cramped against the cold, hard ground, while Kelvin's footsteps drew closer to the clothing stand. Why does he care so much about a few protein bars? It's not like I stole a burrito or a bag of tortilla chips. She squeezed her eyes shut and held her breath, praying for him to give up the chase. She opened her eyes after 30 seconds, and Kelvin's white loafers had disappeared. Chloe sighed in relief, unable to believe her wish had come true. The temptations of a party in the gardens must have finally drawn him away. She gently lifted the drape and crawled out from under the stand. Chloe's mouth watered and her stomach growled, imagining the sweet taste of chocolate and peanut butter as she strolled toward Marty's Tavern, though she was most excited to celebrate the spoils of victory with Penny and the crew. "Gotcha," Kelvin said, springing from behind a group of people and seizing Chloe's arm. Moments later, Sheriff Walt Gibbs and his overly energetic Australian shepherd Luna came around the corner, with Penny walking timidly between them. The sheriff wore a dark blue jumpsuit with brown leather boots and a matching cowboy hat. "Perfect timing," Kelvin said, his eyes narrowing and his lips curling into a smug smile as he dragged Chloe away from the tavern. "I paid for my groceries," Penny said, her face flushed and tears welling up. "You're still guilty if you aid in criminal activity," Kelvin scolded. "Now empty your pockets," said Spinoza. Chloe crossed her arms and turned her head away. "Go on," Sheriff Gibbs instructed firmly but not unkindly. "Do as he says." Chloe grimaced, flipping her front pockets inside out. "See? They're empty." "And the back pockets?" Kelvin ended. Chloe hesitantly reached to her backside, and a familiar crinkle played off her fingertips. "Ha! I knew it!" Kelvin said as she revealed the protein bar in her palm. "Caught the bee red-handed. Arrest her, Gibbs." The door to the cavern burst open, and Marty lumbered into the small crowd that had amassed in the street. "Hey, Walty," Marty hollered. "What's with all the commotion?" Luna, sleek with tan and white fur, rushed to the bartender and wagged her tail until he dug into the pocket of his overalls and tossed her a small treat. "Well, Marty, it appears Chloe was caught stealing from the bodega." "And what proof do you have?" Marty asked, putting an arm around Chloe and Penny. Kelvin snatched the protein bar from Chloe's hand and waved it in front of Marty's face. "Here's all the proof Gibbs and the council need. These good-for-nothings will be scrubbing the icebox for a month." He breathed and added, "Though if it were up to me, I'd space them." People in the crowd gasped, their faces showing a mix of shock and anger. "Everyone calm down," the sheriff said, raising his hands to calm the people. "No one's getting thrown out of an airlock." "Did you steal the bar, Chloe?" Marty asked, stepping toward Kelvin. Marty was at least a foot taller and twice as wide as the shopkeeper. Chloe felt like a spotlight was fixed on her. Her eyes flicked around nervously, and she swallowed hard before speaking. "Speak up, thief," Kelvin snapped, his chest puffed. "No one can hear you." I paid for it," Chloe muttered. "This is preposterous, Gibbs," Kelvin said, hands raised above his head. "I caught her with stolen goods after she ran from the bodega. The council will hear about this if you don't arrest her." Chloe grabbed Marty's arm, and her heart dropped when the sheriff reached for his cuffs. "Hold on just a minute," Marty bellowed, his voice echoing through the street. "Chloe said she paid for the bar." "Innocent until proven guilty," someone shouted. "Check the garden boy slip," another person hollered. "Fools, all of you," Kelvin mumbled as he pulled up his white sleeve, revealing the glossy metal plate covering his forearm. "I keep a record of every transaction from the bodega, and you will all see." He reared his head and blinked like he saw double. "This can't be right." Walt grabbed Kelvin's wrist and tapped the slip into hologram mode, the bright blue display hovering in the air. 4:23 p.m., 1 coin, Chloe Espinosa. 4:24 p.m., 6 coin, Penelope Petz. Kelvin's face turned as red as his hair. "This is trickery," he stuttered, stepping backward as the crowd closed in on him. Marty snatched the protein bar from Kelvin's hand and tossed it over his shoulder to Chloe. "Easy now," Walt Gibbs said, wedging between Kelvin and the angry mob. "You better run back to the gardens if you know what's good for you." "This isn't over," Kelvin said, gritting his teeth as he retreated through the narrow alleyway. And that's chapter 1. All right. So, they weren't kind of just stealing the protein bars, because they were also faking the registry there. Interesting. Definitely feels like some sort of test run. Marty definitely saved their bacon. Seems fun. Seems good. And that's chapter 1. I think it's enjoyable. What do you think? You want a free copy? Who doesn't want a free book? Who among us could say no to a free book? Yeah. So Gregory Michael's going to pick a few people from folks that follow me. Of course, I can't see every subscriber, and neither can he. So, although I'd love it if you like and subscribe to this YouTube video, maybe go follow me on Instagram or follow me on Patreon. I'll let him know, the people that follow me on Patreon. You can get yourself a free ebook. Not bad, Gregory. I think that's a solid start. I enjoyed chapter 1. Could be a fun sci-fi heist. I like it. So thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the chapter 1 also. You can go check out Gregory's book. I'll leave a link in the description. You can follow my Patreon. It's the best place to keep up with all the things I got going on. Might try to do more giveaways. Sometimes I get that opportunity. Probably going to try to draw people for the giveaway from my Patreon more and more. So if you want a chance for giveaways, check out my Patreon. And if no one's told you yet today, you're an absolute legend.